the 50-50 raffle. We will have the raffle drawing at the end. If you haven't, do it.
There's plenty of time, and right now we're sitting at $60 still.
$60 pod or $60 total? Okay, all right. 70, cool. All right. Oh. Cash app, cash. Yeah, please. We're gonna start with Jose from Friendly House. He's gonna tell us all about where we are right now and what an amazing thing or things they do.
Hello, I'm Jose Vaquera. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Friendly House. Oh, and so welcome. I mean, it's the first time we've done this for the senator, and we're very happy and proud that you guys are able to make it. Didn't really get lost coming here. So, what Friendly House? Let me just tell you a little bit about it. We're a nonprofit, community-based organization that have been here. I think there's only 4 other organizations in the entire state that are older than us. We're here since 1920, and here in the same community, different buildings, but same community. And so we've have a lot of different programs. I mean, one of the areas we have education is our main pillar for everything, right? So we have a charter school down the street on 3rd Street in Durango. And at Academia del Pueblo, we serve 250 kiddos, kinder through 8th grade. So that's one of our great programs and schools. And here in this campus, here is our family services program. Here we have food distribution center, as well as utility assistance when funds are available. I can never promise that, right? Also, we have college and career readiness out of this building, and teen health programs for abstinence programs, and just programs to teach kids to make the right decisions, right choices, and also a parent education and drug prevention program through the state Governor's Office of Youth, Faith and Family. The teen health programs are through ADHS, and our college and career readiness is through the U.S. Department of Education, now Department of Interior, I believe, so the Department of Labor. And so also, this is this building. Across the street, we have our adult education services, ESL, GED. Next to it is our immigration department, sliding scale, lower rates, and provide community information, our staff. And that's what's here. In Glendale, we have a satellite office for refugee programs. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of different programs that we offer here. And really, if the community needs it, if we feel that it's something, we seek out funding and bring it here for the community to take advantage of. And, lots of whatever we don't do, our partners do. So that's something that we're always counting on, referrals and everything. So welcome. This is Friendly House. This is your house. So, have a good meeting. All right.
All right, we're going to jump to Nancy Lamb from Poder in Action. Let me switch to that presentation.
You just sent that one over to me?
I did not.
All right, I need to click this.
Yeah, send it over.
Hi, everyone. How are we doing? Wednesday evening? Is it Wednesday? Time is like, what is time right now? Let's do a quick check-in. I used to do this. I used to teach high school. Feel like how are we today? Yeah, I'm recovering from a cold. I was knocked out by it all weekend, and now I'm slowly zombie clawing my way back into aliveness kind of ish. So excuse me if I have any brain fog. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how to. Yeah, thank you so much. If you wanted to assist me, that would also be fine. But yeah, thank you all so much for having me this evening. My name is Nancy. I'm the political coordinator for Poder in Action and AC Poder. Chester invited me to come speak at one of your meetings to talk a little bit about the work we're doing in anti-authoritarian, anti-fascism, and how policing and immigration, how we've been seeing that in Phoenix and Arizona, how we've been seeing that show up, and what we're doing to fight back. So a little bit about us. So AZ Poder is our 501c4, which just means it houses our electoral work. And so we exist to build political power among working class communities to disrupt and dismantle state violence through community governance, organizing, and shifting mainstream culture away from punishment towards health and wellness. Our 501c3 is called Poder in Action. We are a grassroots organization, similar mission, building the power of people of color and working class communities to disrupt and dismantle systems of oppression and determine a liberated future in Arizona by developing organizers, civic advocacy, and movement building. So yeah, like I said, grassroots is right in the name. We really believe in developing leadership within our own communities and creating change and building power through our people.
Dismantle system.
Feel free to time check me, Chester. And I am gonna talk a little fast just because I know like I have limited time. So if there's any questions or if you need me to slow down, feel free to say something. Okay, so I wanted to just open with a little bit of like landscape analysis, right? Where we're at 1 year into the Trump administration. We know that we're increasingly living under a more authoritarian government day by day. I'm not going to get to all of these, but some of the things that we've been seeing in the way that the current administration is running things is right deploying military domestically. We've seen National Guard go to cities like LA and Portland, and federal law enforcement overreach, right? So I'm going to be touching a little bit on these two things, how they've been showing up in Phoenix and in Arizona. But just wanted to like frame that we've been seeing that, right? And something we talk a lot about in like anti-authoritarian, anti-fascism like work is what are the pillars of support that uphold a government, a regime, right? And so we see like civil service, police, military, media, faith communities, labor, business are just some of the pillars. And so, like I said, again, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the police military pillar and how that's been operating the past year. And so we've seen, just to talk a little bit about like, again, just like landscape setting, right? Just last week, Renee Good was shot and killed by an ICE officer for simply observing what ICE was doing in her neighborhood, in her city. And in Phoenix in October, we saw Jose Garcia Sorto shot by an ICE officer. And this is just a flyer from when we held a vigil for him in front of the ICE field office the day that he was shot. So yeah, as we've seen, right, like since early last summer, ICE sightings and activity have increased a lot in Phoenix, and y'all have probably read that Bulwark article that has said that we're anticipating potentially more a ramp up of ICE activity and enforcement in Phoenix. I don't have that article linked. I think this is from a little older, but yeah, and we've also know, right, that I clicked one too many. The current administration has pumped over $1 billion more into $170 billion more into interior enforcement specifically. So we're probably going to see this worsen over the next couple of years. And that money is being taken from other parts of the budget that actually support Americans, right? So from Medicaid being cut to SNAP benefits shrinking, and hospitals and other healthcare associations seeing their budgets decrease. I'm not going to go over all the numbers, as I said, limited on time, but we are taking from other life-saving parts of the budget in order to fund these enforcement operations, right? So it's really important that we kind of pay attention to that. I'm going to pivot, and it's going to sound really unrelated for a second, to talking about the Phoenix Police Department. Promise it'll like kind of make sense in a second, but I'm actually going to just switch over to that really quickly, just to say that locally we've seen, I feel like almost the ICE budget ballooning is like a parallel of what we've seen with our Phoenix Police Department. If you can see, this is the operating and maintenance budget for the 25-26 budget that passed last summer. If you see all the way to the right, or my right, your left, the police bar is, we're at over $1 billion now for the Phoenix Police Department. Again, just like mirroring what we've seen federally. Last year, it increased by $46 million, as we've seen community services been cut by $39 million. And this is just a quote from District 7 Councilwoman Ana Hernandez, who was the lone sole no vote on this budget, who said that our budget should be our moral document. We're saying we're going to continue to underinvest in root cause solutions that will reduce community hardships and protect our residents, right? So a budget is a reflection of like what we prioritize and what we're putting our money towards. Skip that. So we're investing $1 billion into police department. What are we kind of seeing, right? That the DOJ released a report in 2024, the summer of 2024, outlining a series of constitutional violations done by the Phoenix Police Department. This 126-page report has documented things like excessive force against people with mental disabilities, against our LGBTQ community, against youth, racial discrimination, violations against protesters, especially during the summer of 2020. Highly recommend reading that, or at least a summary of that DOJ report. But last year, in 2025, Trump's Department of Justice actually abandoned this investigation entirely and actually closed the case and retracted it, claiming that, you know, the findings from the report were unimportant and, you know, yeah, just inaccurate. So in 2025, the Phoenix Police Department shot 19 people. 11 of these shootings were fatal. 6 of these actually happened in LD11, with 4 of these 6 shootings being fatal. So what do these two seemingly kind of disparate systems have to do with one another, right? I want to introduce these two terms to us. I don't know if folks have ever heard of these terms before, but one is crimmigration. And so it kind of describes the intersection of criminal and immigration systems, and the resort to criminalization in order to discipline, exclude, or expel migrants. And the term polymigra, which is the cooperation of state and local law enforcement with federal immigration authorities to enforce federal immigration law. And so that's how we see these kind of two systems intersect, at the federal enforcement level and the local enforcement level, to criminalize migration locally. And so kind of wanted to also, the way that we're seeing this play out like on the ground, right, is this pipeline that we call the arrested deportation. So although Phoenix PD and the city of Phoenix have denied that they formally work with ICE, and it's true they don't have a formal 287G agreement, like contract that they are, you know, that they've signed that says if they officially work with ICE. There are still de facto ways in which the Phoenix Police Department are feeding our people to ICE and leading, you know, just simple routine stops or arrests leading to folks getting deported or at least being turned over to ICE. And so in the first 3 months of 2025, 152 deportation cases were filed from Maricopa County police arrests, not just ICE raids. So signaling that there is some level of at least cooperation, or if not like blatant cooperation, some kind of handoff with ICE. Phoenix PD specifically made 58 arrests leading to deportations, more than any other agency in Maricopa County. And 108 people ended up in immigration court based on this one question at the county jail where people are first held when they're arrested, which is where were you born? So this graph here diagram kind of details a little bit of how that happens. So let's say, for example, Phoenix PD will stop you for having a tint on your window on your car that's too dark. So like I said, a routine traffic stop, right? They'll take you to the 4th Avenue Maricopa County Jail, where there is a desk where an ICE agent sits, where there's like a kind of an informal ICE interview that is conducted, which starts with that question that I said before, like where were you born? that could potentially lead to deportation proceedings when the cases turn over to ICE. So sorry, yes, okay. So yeah, this is just the most recent AZ Republic article. Just wanted to highlight that from November. They did some really good investigative reporting on the most recent numbers of that. So if y'all wanted to read more about it, I really highly recommend this article. And thank you, Chester, for the time check. I'm going to speed through this. And so, yeah, leads me to kind of the question of like, how do we decouple our immigration and criminal justice systems, and how do we invest instead in our communities thriving rather than our communities criminalization? So in the summer of last year, Poder had worked on the resolution for thriving communities, which ultimately failed in council by an 8-1 vote. Ana Hernandez was the only one who voted for this, but which would seek to hopefully disrupt the arrest and deportation pipeline. So instead of traffic stops or low-level stops leading to an arrest, they would just maybe cite and release, right? So that's like one policy that we have really championed. And another, instead of $1 billion into the police department, we're thinking about like what are other ways to make our communities feel safer. And the Pueblo's budget is just a series of like community priorities that we've outlined, for example, on how to address housing and homelessness, or creating more infrastructure in our community, investing more in our parks and community spaces, more money for mental health and substance use and well-being programs and things like that for youth and families. So the Pueblo's budget is just what our community has said they would rather see money invested into rather than our community's criminalization. And the total investment of all of these programs is just under is $465 million. So just to show that like it is possible to reinvest some of the money and that like our community knows what they want to see their tax dollars being used for. So this is my last slide, is just in 2026, how we are organizing and how we're fighting back is we are organizing ourselves into these neighborhood defense committees. And so the purpose of these is to grow the power of the community and build the world we deserve, where we get to thrive regardless of our race, immigration status, or gender. We work together to defend our communities from police, ICE, and the Trump administration. And we do this through growing our knowledge and skills, taking action, creating spaces of joy and connection in our neighborhoods, and providing mutual aid. So the first meeting that we're having is going to be held in the week of March 9th. There's going to be 4 that we're launching so far. I think there's 1 in South Phoenix, 2 in West, and 1 in Central, I believe. So location TBD is only because it depends on where you lived. You might want to plug into the one that's closest to you. And it's the week of March 9th is going to be launching, because depending on location, they're going to happen on different nights. So I have my contact information. Chester has my contact. So if y'all would want to get involved in a defense committee, I'd love to connect with you. And another event I'm just going to plug real quickly is at the end of the month, our Unidos program is basically our base that anyone who's 18 plus can join, who's this is more like our English speaking group, but this is like an orientation to the Unidos program, and they're going to talk a lot more about joining the neighborhood defense committees and like what to expect. And like if you're kind of like, I don't really know, like this is for me, I don't really know what this is, or like what is Poder, or like who are these crazy people, this would be a good like opportunity to just like learn more without committing to anything. So it's going to be January 29th, 6 to 8 p.m. at our West Phoenix office in Maryville. There's an RSVP link on there. Again, Chester has these slides, so I'm sure he can send them out later for folks to review, because I know I went through that really, really fast. And like I said, my contact information is right there. So yeah, yes.
Is PowerPoint available?
Yes, Chester has it, and he can share it in an email or something following. Yeah, and also on our website. So I sped that really fast. Do we have time for questions, or am I out of time? Okay.
Just a comment. I was the finance and compliance manager at Poder in Action recently, and I actually had a brother that I lost to police violence, so I didn't want to work for them. We had a large presence on the ground in the community. We elected 7 out of 9 candidates last year, 2024. 7 out of 9 candidates in races from the school board to on city council, and that was one of our highlight wins because of the 50% vote that she pulled with 4 candidates in the race. So there's a lot of groundwork in the community.
Thanks, Jose.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you all.
All right, you've got Healthcare Rising is up next. And you sent me a presentation as well. Perfect. Oh, thank you. All right. I still need to forward it, don't I?
I'm Carly Gaddis, soon to be Carly Martinez. I got married recently and I haven't. Has anybody tried to go into, just while we're waiting, has anybody tried to go into the Social Security office lately? No.
Yes.
Real hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paper part.
Oh, perfect.
Right.
Thank you. Is there a preferred place for me to stand?
You're good. Just
Right here? Okay. All right. Yeah, so I haven't changed my name yet, but plan on doing it soon. So I have been with Healthcare Rising for almost 7 years now. Who here, just by a show of hands, I'm sorry for people who are on Zoom, who here knows about Healthcare Rising Arizona? Okay, decent amount of people. So I'm actually going to start by breaking the ice with you guys because, I mean, there's a lot of serious things going on right now, and I am going to talk about something serious. But let's try to be, start it off getting to know each other a little bit. So I got a little pop quiz, and you can just shout out the answers if you know them. Yeah, but I'm trying to gauge the room a little bit. Do you know how many signatures are required to qualify a constitutional initiative? Is it A, 383,923 signatures, 100,000, a million, or 15% of the population of Arizona? Yell it out, A, B, C, D. All right. It is A technically. So the answer, the formal answer that you'll find on the Secretary of State's website is this, but it's 15% of whoever voted for governor, right? So we might see that number go up here in 2026 if we see more people voting for the governor. But that is the current number that is required to collect for a constitutional initiative. What type of majority is required for an initiative to be approved by voters in Arizona? And I'm going to say majority. What's the majority of requirement? Because some initiatives have different requirements, but most. What is the required amount for an initiative to be approved? Is it 2/3 majority, a simple majority, 3/4 majority, or a unanimous vote? For most, it is B, a simple majority. There was something put into law in 2022 that the Republican legislature put on the ballot that said if it changes the tax code, that's going to have to pass it over 60%. But other than that, most of them do have to pass at only a simple majority, which means 51%. This is significant why I'm here today. I'm going to talk about this specifically. Which of the following are best practices for signature gatherers to follow? I'm just going to reveal it. It's all of them. They're all good practices. And there's even some on here that I haven't included. But that means each petition must be signed by a notary public. You must use blue or black ink to sign a pen or to sign because it is a legal document. And each petition must include a full and correct copy of the proposed measure. So like I said, these are just some of the requirements required when you are collecting signatures for a ballot initiative, but I can't list them all on this slide. And then how many propositions on your 2024 ballot were citizen initiatives? You guys remember on the back, all those propositions? How many of those were citizen initiatives? Two of them were, including Arizona for abortion access, right? That was us. Most of them are referrals from the legislature trying to circumvent Katie Hobbs, getting around her, because we do have a process in Arizona that says, well, if our legislators can't come together and our governor can't agree on the legislation, let's just put it on the ballot, even though it costs millions of dollars for other people to do it, we'll do it for free, right? What's the most important thing to know about Healthcare Rising Arizona? Anybody here who's a member know? We win. Which is really nice to feel right now, right? Like the last 2 years, especially, we've been feeling not so good going into elections. But one thing I did feel on election night in 2024 was I was confident that we were going to win Prop 139, right? I knew that the hard work our volunteers did on that ballot initiative, we were going to come in and feel like this was worth it. So I love winning in elections. So about Healthcare Rising Arizona. So we are a people-powered organization that is built to pass and qualify ballot initiatives to improve the state of Arizona. And, we have a history of passing ballot initiatives. We actually were the ones that financed Prop 206. Were you guys here in 2016? How many people were here in 2016? Minimum wage. We saw minimum wage go up this year. That's because of Prop 206 that we funded. We were also responsible in the midterms in 2022 for passing that ballot initiative, putting a cap on interest rates, protecting more people's homes, cars, and paychecks from these predatory debt collectors. During that, we brought the charity Undo Medical Debt to Arizona and helped forgive over $3.6 million of medical debt for Arizonans. And then in turn, introduced them to Katie Hobbs, where she just used that surplus of COVID money to forgive over $600 million of medical debt, right? So I was happy to see our work continue after Prop 209 to help people with medical debt. It's the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. So these are just two initiatives that we did, but it really set us up for success with Arizona for Abortion Access. We had the opportunity to be part of such an amazing coalition called the Arizona for Abortion Access. And we got to lead the Women's March. We got to lead the field because although we had a lot of amazing groups a part of this coalition, something that they had never done is pass ballot initiatives before. But we know how to pass ballot initiatives. So we got to lead the field on that. And, that brought us to collecting the most signatures in Arizona state history. And we got our historical win with over 80,000 signatures, volunteer signatures collected, right? And now we're over 60% yes for abortion access. But I'm not here today to celebrate that win with you, unfortunately. I wish I was here today to keep telling you good news, but the bad news is the legislature is trying to attack Prop 139. They tried to attack it over and over again last year, and they've never had success. And they know that this is really popular, but they're not going to listen to their constituents. They're not going to listen to over 60% of Arizonans. So what they proposed last year was a bill called HCR 2025. It was a bill that would do two things. The first thing it would do is change the simple majority to a 2/3 majority. Remember in the quiz I talked about, most of them are simple majorities? Well, they want future constitutional initiatives to be 60% instead of 51%. This is very significant because in Florida last year, there was an abortion access initiative ran there too. And Arizona got spared a lot of the external money that was being spent on our campaign. We didn't have an opposition that was really rich and could go against us because they were pouring all of their money into Florida. But why'd they choose Florida instead of Arizona? They chose it because they had that 60% rule in Florida. And they said, oh, we have a better chance of turning 40% of the population. And so what they did is they flooded Florida. Now they still have a 6-week ban because they only got to 57% yes. I don't want that to happen to our state. We cannot afford to have a legislature that doesn't work for us and a ballot initiative system that is too expensive for everyday Arizonans to run, right? So that's the first thing that the initiative would do, change the 51% to 60%. But they've also said, hey, let's create a process to overturn past constitutional initiatives. So let's change that and make that process. And that will only need to pass at 51%. So make it harder for us to put initiatives on and easier for them to overturn. And like I said, this is not the first time they've attacked initiatives. This legislature is openly hostile to the initiative process because it takes away their power. They want the ability to pass laws themselves only. And so these are some of the propositions that they have put on the ballot before that challenged initiatives, because when they can't win fairly, they try to change the rules, right? So, oh, time check. 3-4 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna skip forward. So we are trying to get 10,000 members contributing $20 a month, so we can get to, you know, around 5 million, which is what we spent on abortion access, as well as 4,000 members collecting signatures, 100 signatures on a campaign, which would get us the 400,000 signatures required to pass an initiative. That means we can put any initiative on. If we had the money and the people power, we can do anything. We're only funded by a healthcare workers union called SEIU-UHW. We can't take grants like other organizations, so we're only membership org. So if you want to become part of that organization, you can scan the QR code, but the biggest part is I have these petitions. I'm going to hand them out. If you would like to take one, there is signatures that you can collect. This is an unofficial petition. It's not like our other petitions, but we are asking you to collect signatures if you can from your friends, family, coworkers, whatever, so we can tell the legislature, if you decide to put this referral on the ballot, all of these people are ready to go up against you and this referral to make sure it's not successful. And so the goal is to get them to not refer it in the first place, give them enough pressure to not refer it. But if they do, we got all these people to contact, tell them, hey, we need your help to make sure that this legislature doesn't succeed in this referral. So that is pretty much all I got for you guys today. Any questions really quickly? And I'll be here after to talk. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. Thank you for your time.
Charlie, when Nancy was talking, you commented on something. Did you want to?
Nancy, I appreciated that. My husband was detained by ICE in 2010, and he went through the same exact procedure. You know, he was arrested for jumping the light rail when it was first installed. He was on the wrong side of it. And so, you know, he was taken to that jail on 4th Ave and then processed by ICE a day later. So I appreciate, he's okay now. We have an open case right now with immigration, and things are not moving forward, but I appreciated you coming and explaining the process to people.
I'm sorry I didn't catch. Thank you for flagging. I didn't catch that you said something when I was.
I said it when someone else said something. Oh, I'm sorry.
I know. I was like,
Okay, our third guest is Councilman from Glendale. Yes, I was just gonna say, he texted me and said he'd be here at 7:30, so we're gonna skip that and go to, do we have any, Catherine Miranda is here. Do we have any other elected officials who might want to speak? Charlene, of course. We'll give Catherine the floor first, unless Catherine wants to. You can duke it out. She got here first. I don't know.
No, I always feel updated when I'm here with all your guests. I mean, they updated you on the legislature, immigration, so we're in good hands. That's for sure. As you all know. Oh, okay. Okay. As you know, opening day was yesterday. It just felt different. And as you know, our politics feels different. Our environment feels different. Thank you, Poder, for giving everybody an update. This is what we're on top of, and we appreciate all the resources that you educate us about, because it is real what's happening on the streets. I have several immigration bills and no mask bill, free safe zones bill, not allowing you to say illegal alien, rather undocumented or non-citizen, all the ones that they do not want to hear and probably won't hear in committee, but I'll do my best to talk to those chairs to at least hear the bill. Don't vote on it if you don't want to, but at least hear the bill. So that's going to be my priority. We have some ESA bills that we're going to attack. And really playing defense again. You know, we have to flip this legislature. We have to flip this legislature. The positive thing that's happening is that we're creating these bills and we are ready, that when we do have the majority, our bills are ready. And we're just going to present them. Charlene knows, you know, what our goals are. Gosh, what other update? When you were talking about protest, we started that when, and Lindsay just reminded me, Homan was at the Capitol and we did our first protest when he was the new director up there in Congress. And he presented to the whole House, and the Senate Democrats and Republicans walked over to the House. So it was full in there. And our goal was to just get up and walk out. But in our hands, we had some deported names. I had a veteran from LD11, his name on my paper. So I kind of led the effort. And as soon as I stood up, I clearly showed him the name and I started to walk and all the Democrats followed. So that was our first message to him, that we're not here to listen to what you have to say about Trump's policy, immigration policy. So we're just going to keep fighting and really playing defense is what we're doing, is because we are the minority. Our voice is what we have, and we have to just keep lifting it. We have to stay united. Just these meetings is unity. This is what resistance looks like, just by updating each other. And I'm just proud to be your senator. Okay. If you have any questions, I'm here. I'll be sitting back there. Oh, I did bring my petition. I had a total knee replacement, so it's kind of hard to knock on doors right now. So I brought my petition. If you can sign it to help me get back on the ballot, that would be amazing. Thanks.
We could sign these online, right?
Yes, you can. Oh, okay. Thanks. I appreciate it. All right. You could update them on our meeting.
Right here. Hi, everyone. I'm Charlene Fernandez, and I am chair of the Arizona Democratic Party. A little bit of background. Catherine kind of introduced me as I used to be in the legislature. I served in the legislature for 8 years as the minority. We never used minority, as the Democratic whip and the Democratic leader. I ended up, you know, if anyone had told me I would do this, I would say, no, you're crazy. But I did resign from the legislature in my last session. I received a presidential appointment by President Joe Biden as the state director for USDA rural development. So I served there for 3 years. And then when I walked out on January 20th, when that other person walked in, and thought that was it. And then this came. You know, this opportunity, I think, of a lifetime. I wasn't ready to sit back and let things happen. I thought I needed to be there to make sure that we fight back in any way we can. My job, and I have it written on a whiteboard in my office, is to elect Democrats up and down the ballot, whatever it takes. That's what we have to do. So I spend a lot of time on the phone raising money. And a lot of times I don't raise money, but I have conversations with people and I find out why they're Democrats and why they might want to help us. And when they can't help us, why they wish they could. A lot of people are facing the same things we are, and we need to talk about that. You know, business isn't doing as well, you know, lost a job, kid in college, and, you know, just can't support them being in college anymore. All the same issues you're facing, the people that I'm calling are facing. We need to tell those stories and not to be afraid to tell those stories. That when you go into the grocery store and you want to buy bread and milk and eggs, you have to make a decision to leave something behind because you can only afford 2 of those 3 items. We're starting we call it a story lab, and we're sending that out to all our email lists and asking people, tell your story. If you want us to share it, we'll share it. We'll come and meet with you, and we can do a video and share it with other people, because people need to know those stories. If not, it's fine. We love hearing those stories because it helps us put things in perspective. So we're doing a lot of things at the legislature. My mind will always be legislature. We're doing a lot of things at the Arizona Democratic Party just to make sure that our voices are heard. Just like your senator said, you have to make sure your voice is heard, because the people behind you are looking to you to make a difference. We're also doing other exciting things at the Arizona. Look at that. Boom. At the Arizona Democratic Party. When I ran for this position, one of the things that was most important to me was that we heard from all the counties in Arizona. Of course, Maricopa County is important. Of course, Pima County is important, but we've got 13 rural counties in Arizona that are equally as important. And we see that most of those counties vote Republican. When I was with the Biden administration, I did look, I got to go to all these counties, and I saw, the losses that were there, the way they welcomed us when we came with information about grants, but they didn't trust us because we hadn't been there before. Trump was there before, so they didn't go out into those rural areas. They wanted to see us not just that one time when we came and brought a grant. They wanted us to come back again and again and again. So that's what I'm doing at the Arizona Democratic Party. We go out into a community and we get back to them and we bring them resources. It's not always money. It may be, how do we do this? How can we get past this? How can we reach out to fill in the blank? They need help just like all of us. So we're really trying to bring all 15 counties. We know that if we can move the needle in 13 counties, we're not asking to win. But if we can move the needle just a little bit, we can help our statewide. That means that someone like Katie Hobbs doesn't have to wait a week to find out if she's governor. That means that our attorney general doesn't have to have ballots cured so she can win by 217 votes. That means that Adrian Fontes on day one knows that he is the Secretary of State again. That's what's important, and that's what will happen if we start moving these rural counties. So what's also really important is you have to understand you've got a really good slate of candidates here. Senators right here, Senator Miranda's right here sitting with you. Start looking at these other districts where you can help. Maybe you can write postcards as you help Senator Miranda in her fight, because she's going to have Republicans running against her. But you can also bring in other people to help here. We should all be sharing in resources. Just remember that. You have value and you need to share those resources. I'm so proud to be part of the Arizona Democratic Party. I am so proud to be a Democrat. And I'm so proud to see people like Senator Miranda that's still there fighting the fight when she talked about protesting and standing up. And I'm thinking they're still doing it. It's the same thing over and over again, but we're going to win. And, by the way, my kids keep telling me, Mom, you've been saying that, we're going to take over the legislature forever. I'll keep saying it until we take over, because she is right. We were ready to take over. We were one away from taking over. And we had that stack of bills. We said from day one, when we get back in there, we're going to get rid of right to work so that we can make sure that our unions are number one in this state. Because guess what? When unions support families, it's not just their union families, it's all families when they raise those wages. Unions are the backbone. We thought, okay, we'll get rid of ESAs also, so that when we get rid of ESAs, the money goes back into public schools for your kids and my grandkids. We had bills that said that we were going to raise teacher pay. Every single time I see that ICE agents are getting a signing bonus of $40,000, I'm thinking, oh, they had the money for our teachers, but they didn't want to share it. Up in Washington, D.C., at the Department of Education, they had the money for the teachers that taught you, your kids, and your grandkids, and they didn't want to share it with them. Our teachers are facing such destruction today, not only in the classroom, but at their homes, because they're taking home less money, not because they're the money's being cut, it's their healthcare benefits that are being cut, and the rates are being raised. Think about that for your teachers, that they have to work at a Starbucks, or they have to waitress, or they work nights somewhere else. Think about that. Is that what you want for our public schools that teach anyone? Anyone that walks through their doors can get an education in our public schools. That's where I sent my kids. That's where I sent my grandchildren, and that's where my great-grandchildren will go, public schools. So those are the things that I'm fighting for. I will continue to fight for it. And just to let Senator Miranda know, we also, as the Arizona Democratic Party, we sent out the eQual. I'm glad you mentioned it, the eQual to all our mailing lists, so that people in the state of Arizona know that they can sign from their home. I'm sorry about your need, but I got to tell you, people aren't answering the door. And we tell people not to answer the door. I come from Yuma County. We're right on the border of Mexico. And I'm telling you, my people are not answering the door. So we are sending them the eQual so they can sign there for your colleagues and for you, to make sure that you get back at the legislature and keep fighting for us. So thank you very much. Thank you all for listening to me tonight, and good luck.
Thank you. I just want to say, when in the last cycle, I worked for Kwesi Smith's campaign, who ran against Paul Gosar in the rural western side of the state, and we saw virtually zero support from ADP, and really Democrats barely showed up in that district. So it means a lot to me to hear you say how important it is, and that we're showing up. So thank you.
Democrats, where we never thought Democrats lived. It was like, wait, where are these people? So thank you so much
Yeah.
for what you did.
We heard radio hosts say, "Are you guys lost? What are you doing here?" So that was very exciting. Next is Andy, who is with Yasmin Ansari's campaign, or not campaign, but
Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew Simic. I'm with Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari's office. So first, I want to tell you guys about some of the lit I brought for you guys. This is our office's contact information that covers the federal issues that we cover. But most importantly, this is Know Your Rights information from our office. And we've had this for over a year now, but this is the 5 top languages that are spoken in our district. I want each and every one of you to take this before you leave today. You might not need it, but somebody in your neighborhood might need it. And you never know when something could happen in our community, and something's coming to our community soon. So that's very important, that I want each and every one of you to take with you tonight. Okay. Next, I want to talk about some good news from the Congresswoman. We're rolling out a legislative package to target ICE and take back the $170 billion that were given to them in the big ugly bill, which I think is huge, that we're going to try to take that money back from them. If they're not going to use it to actually enforce the laws, they're breaking the laws, they're shooting people, they're murdering people, then we need to take our money back. So I'll cover some of the other things. The next act that she's rolling out is the Stop Inhumane Conditions in ICE Detention Act, which forces DHS to report on the conditions in detention facilities. Right now, we have to claw tooth and nail to get any information at all. One of our constituents, Yari Marquez, who is suffering from leukemia in Eloy Detention Center right now, we have to physically have the Congresswoman show up and demand her documents and her medical documents so that we can try to get her the treatment that she's been needing there. Quite literally, this woman is dying in ICE detention and may die in ICE detention if we are not able to get her the help that she desperately needs. She's lost over 60 pounds in detention so far. When the Congresswoman was there with her last, the Congresswoman saw her vomit blood. Her condition is worsening. And I tell you these graphic details because it is horrible. These are horrible things that are being done, and often done in the name of the United States. One of our first stories that we heard when we came to Eloy was that they were marching detainees around this large open field that they have and saying that this is the cost of the American dream. I want you to process that for a moment. They are doing this in our country's name, and that's horrible. And that's why we're trying to do everything that we can to raise awareness about cases like Yari and to bring enforcement and oversight to ICE. The last act that I'll talk about is the Studying Disastrous Impacts on Mass Deportation. So the economic impact of mass deportation is terrible. And so we need to have actual data that justifies what is going on here so that we can actually argue against these mass deportation activities. Last couple things, I'll recap The last year for the Congresswoman, as your federal representative, introduced 20 pieces of legislation, which is more than any other freshman member of Congress so far. We did over 170 events here in the district, including 13 town halls. I challenge any of you to tell me the last time a Republican held a town hall in their district. And we're just going to continue to serve our community as best we can. We solved over 700 cases for our constituents last year, bringing back $750,000 in taxpayer money to this district just through casework wins. So it's not just legislation. A lot of the work that we do is helping you guys get back your VA benefits or your Social Security benefits or your IRS back taxes. Those are important things that our office can help you with. And so as we approach tax season again, please feel free to reach out to our office if you have any issues or if you have questions that you might need help with. But our office is always here and happy to help you guys. Please, before each of you leave, I'm going to make you guys take these Know Your Rights information. So thank you guys very much. So you have any questions? I'll answer questions as well, briefly.
Detention centers, are those run by federal government or are they contracted out?
Wonderful question. They're actually run by private prison corporations. So the two is Core Civic, and I'm spacing on the next one. Geo Group, thank you. Yeah, you see, we're tuned in over here. But Geo Group and Core Civic are the two companies that run those organizations.
They were celebrating on their earnings call when Trump got elected because of all the money. There was an article, Hazel Center.
Are there any other questions for me about the work the Congresswoman's been doing? Okay, thank you guys very much for having me.
All right, thank you. I know what you're all thinking. No, we're not twins. We're just two generic white guys who care. Yeah. All right, so we'll go into my report now, and if anyone on my board has anything to add, and then I do have a few things that I'm hoping Patrick can help out with one of them. But first is the Livreen Parade is coming up on Saturday the 31st. We are looking for volunteers to come march with us. We will have a float. Senator, you don't need to walk the full mile. You can ride on the float if you want to join us. Absolutely. I know I promised that we might have a live donkey, but we decided donkeys kick. So I will have an inflatable donkey costume that I'll be wearing. So you guys show up for that at the very least. The parade starts at 11 a.m. So please arrive early if you're going to join us. It is a 1 mile parade. And we will be joined by the governor and House Minority Leader Oscar de los Santos. And I got commitment from Catherine Miranda, so I'm excited for that. Maybe more. And so please show up for that. We've got a mobilized link if you guys want to join us. Isaac Young will also have his own, not float, but entry in the parade. Signa and Terry. Oh my gosh. Leyba Ruiz, thank you, who is running for school superintendent. They'll be marching in that entry together. Let's see. Somehow I messed that up. So there's a wonderful photo of all the people who showed up for our holiday party. That was such a good time. Glad you all came out to that. We raised over $1,000. In the last month, we've increased our PC count to 89. We're growing. We're getting up there. We've got our monthly book club meeting coming up at the end of this month. We'll be reading Deciding to Win Toward a Common Sense Renewal of the Democratic Party. That is actually, you can read that for free online at decidetowin.org. It's only 75 pages if you want to buy it on Amazon, and there's a lot of graphs. So you don't have, it's not all 75 pages are actual text. It's a very short read. Happy hour is this Friday at Native Grill and Wings near Levine, not actually in Levine. Dinner service at Andre House is on Saturday at 3 p.m. And we've got a big voter registration push going right now. MCDP was kind enough to purchase a list of 20,000 unregistered voters in our district alone. They have loaded that into Van, and only 3,000 were removed by Van because they had already registered. So we have 17,000 names. We need to go knock doors, make phone calls. So we're going to be making a big push to do that very soon here, guys. I'm very excited for that. This will not go to the next, there we go. Hope I didn't skip a slide. No, I didn't. Okay. All right. Now, I do want to talk about the people's primary. Our state committee meeting is coming up on the 24th. There is an amendment called the people's primary that I would like Patrick to tell us about. And if there's any questions, any comments, we can take those because we will be voting on it on Saturday.
Hey everybody,
We might be voting, right?
Hey everybody, I'm Patrick, the video guy. Yeah, just a video guy. All I do is just a video. That's it. But I'm also a member of the ADP Rules Committee, and so since I'm serving on that committee and went through a lot of the kind of proposed bylaws and policies. Chester wanted me to talk briefly about the people's primary. So I'm going to give you guys like a 30,000 foot thing because he told me I couldn't take like 2 hours to go through it. So pretty much what it is, if you've been a state committee member for a minute or you were around last time around, the people's primary is simply originally started as a bylaw amendment to create rules for our primary, for our Democratic primaries. And what that would look like is that people who are Democrats running in, and say in Democratic primaries, would pledge that they would not take, and I'm paraphrasing a lot of it because it's kind of, he kind of asked me the last minute, but that's okay. And I didn't bring any notes. But ultimately, what it basically does is that it will set a limit on the amount of contributions you can take. The whole kind of concept behind it, at least the supporters are saying they want to take money out of politics. And personally, if you were to ask me the simple question, is there too much money in politics? I would say absolutely yes. However, there are some issues with this particular policy bylaw, and I'm using this word interchangeably because it started as a bylaw, it was voted down. It was supposed to be brought back at this January convention as a bylaw. However, they decided to make it a policy. And so either way, the Rules Committee has to review it for kind of, if you're not sure what the Rules Committee does, our job is pretty simple. We review potential bylaws or policy suggestions to make sure that they either are in line with our ADP bylaws, they're in line with state law or federal law, and basically we will either make a recommendation that, hey, yeah, it checks all the boxes, y'all should probably vote for it, or we may not pass it to the state committee, or we may say pass it to the state committee, but we might have some sort of feedback. It might be, say, members of, say, the committee who may write an opposition statement, or they might write a support statement. So with this one, it did not move forward out of the committee. And the reason the committee did not move it forward was for a couple different reasons. One, it does directly violate our bylaws. Our bylaws clearly state that we don't choose favorites. We have a neutrality clause. It's very clear in our bylaws. The people's primary, because if, say, a candidate decides not to sign this people's primary, then per that people's primary, that individual would not have access to VAN. The state party would announce this person is not signing this and would, kind of make it known. Also, if an individual signs it, but let's say, I don't know, what was one of those corporations you just mentioned? Let's say Geo writes Liz, because she's running for state ledge, a huge check. Well, the thing is that then the Democratic Party would have to call her out and say, hey, guess what? She took all this money, and because someone wrote her a check, she's in trouble. And fundamentally, there's a lot of flaws in it because, one, it's really difficult to enforce. It actually violates campaign finance law. And the biggest thing is that it also kind of micromanages our candidates because every district's different, every race is different. And as a result, you have to let the candidates run. And here's the other part and obviously you can probably guess which way I voted on. I'm being really super transparent here, is that we have a process in place to deal with candidates if we have issues with candidates in the primary. You vote for the other person. You campaign for the other person. You go get signatures for the other person. The party should be fully neutral in contested primaries. And ultimately, this particular thing, and the reason I call it a thing is because it may come up from the floor. So someone may try and move it as a floor, as either a policy or as a bylaw. I don't know what's going to happen, but Chester just wanted me to talk through it. I gave you kind of the 30,000 foot. Does anyone have any questions?
What is the argument for the benefit of it?
So the argument for the benefit is that it would take money out of politics. The argument that they're making is that they don't want primary candidates that, and I quote from the numerous emails that was sent to me as a member of the committee to get me to sign on to this thing, is that we don't want candidates that are bought and paid for.
There's a lot.
What's that?
But this would allow it.
No, what this would do is if a candidate went against this, bylaw or policy or whatever they want it to be, then the party would then, basically punish them for that. And that would be in the form of you don't get access to van. We don't let you speak at, say, if we did a candidate forum, you don't get an invite. We put notices out to the world that you took money that we didn't want you to take. All right, any other questions? Okay, if you are a state committee member, this is a big plug. If you are not going to Yuma, you need to do a proxy. I'm not going to tell you what to do with the proxy. That would be totally overstepping, but you need to send in a proxy. Proxies are super simple. If you're getting our newsletter, and if you're not getting our newsletter, you probably should, because there's a lot of information there. And talk to, I don't know, Chester. He's a chair. It's so nice doing this. I talk to him. Feels so, just like a weight lifted off. But seriously, you should do a proxy. They're really simple. You can do one of two things. If you want to get it notarized, you get it notarized and whatnot. You don't have to do that. You just need to get 2 witnesses to sign, and then just get it to Chester. You can actually do e-signature. That's what I always do because I can't go to Yuma this year. But yeah. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. All right, I wanted to talk about that. It may not be voted on, but it may be brought from the floor, is my understanding. Is someone
things can be moved from the floor. So even though the committee said, hey, we're not going to pass this thing forward, and our chair, Stephen Jackson, had a very clear statement when we met earlier this week on why we're not moving it forward, and he broke it all down. And he'll no doubt probably address it in his report if it comes up. But things can be moved from the floor. So it could come up, it could not. I don't know.
Okay. So that's just why I wanted to bring it up, is if there's anyone here who isn't able to vote, but thought, hey, I heard about this and I want to know more about it. Just want to make sure everyone had every bit of information.
And one other thing, if you're that type of nerd, like policy nerd, like they do, I'll be happy. I wrote an actual analysis of it. So if you want to actually read the analysis, I'll be happy to share it with you. So if you're that type of person.
So yeah, this basically would hamstring Democrats, but only from my understanding, the way it was written, in safe districts. So it just really, it was a bizarre policy.
And that's the issue, is that in how they kind of publicize it, they said it'd be safe districts, but when you get into the actual language, there's no distinction. So you could have a red district where we have 2 Democrats running, they would be subject to this.
Okay. Yeah, terrible idea. Because Republicans are not going to limit how much money they let their candidates take. Let's be honest. Okay, moving on. Someone came to my door this morning handing out information about the light rail extension vote that's coming up, and she gave me a stack to bring to the meeting. So I have a stack of the light rail information for the extension that is supposed to go through the Capital District. And you can also read more at valleymetro.org/CapEx, which is short for Capital Extension. So please feel free if you have any questions. I've looked at it a little bit. I have a rudimentary understanding of what they're voting on. We want to talk about PC signatures because this is super important, right? The number of elected, a lot of you may be PCs, but you're appointed because you didn't collect the signatures before the deadline. There's really very little difference between appointed and elected PCs. But the big difference is the number of elected PCs we have determines how many state committee members we get to send to the state committee meetings. So we want to get as many elected PCs as we can so that our district has a bigger voice in those meetings, right? So we do have petitions available. You really only need to collect 10 signatures from other Democrats in your precinct or independents in your precinct. And one of those signatures can be your own. So you need 9 signatures. And we can give you a list of Democrats on your block, within a mile of your house, whatever. If you can't get 10 signatures from the people who live near you, we'll give you a bigger list. So that is by April. It's very easy. And the reason we asked a lot of you to, or I think we asked all of you to write your precinct on your name tag, was so that you could collect signatures from the other PCs here from your precinct. So you can get a head start. What's up, Fern?
I just also want to say that all it is you come to the meetings virtually, in person, whatever. You find out what's going on in the community and you talk to the people around you. We want you to go to your neighbors, but if you talk to people at work, that's just as good. So it's just all you're doing is passing on the information that you're getting here.
Yep.
So basically, it's just being a human. And
Yeah. And one thing I like to say when people say, oh, one vote doesn't matter, my vote doesn't matter. Well, to those people, I say, well, then talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, turn your one vote into 2 votes, 3, 5, stop sitting around being alone and go talk to people. Turn your vote into more votes. Well, you first,
Does it
sorry.
mean that your 10 signatures that get you on the primary ballot?
Yes.
So all
Yes.
the neighbors in your entire precinct are going to know that you are.
They're going to see your name on their primary ballot.
Only
Only the
if you're-
Democrats.
Only if it's contested.
Only if it's contested.
So
That's
each,
right. Thank you.
So each precinct gets a set number of elected PC positions. And so the only time they actually print it on the ballot is if you go over that number. So let's say the magic number is 14. If there are 15 people who put in petitions, guess what? Your neighbors will see you on the ballot. If it's just like, say, 10 people, then yeah, they're not going to do that because they don't want to spend money to print the
so
ballot.
if you want to see your name on the ballot.
Fill up your district. Yeah, fill up your precinct.
Yeah. In fact, we have one precinct right now that we hit quota. So that was pretty exciting. I haven't seen that happen before in our district.
Precincts need to get there's openings everywhere.
In my precinct, I was the only PC until I filled out a form for my girlfriend. So, so I now have 2 PCs in my precinct.
It's my husband.
Yeah.
Is the PC. That him going out and getting 10 signatures are pretty much slim to nil. So I take 2 petitions and I ask my neighbor for the lady down the street works, but she wants to do it. So I take 3 petitions.
We'll give you the list.
Yes. I don't know how legal it is to take like 14 and then.
Very legal.
There you go. Okay. So it's also a great opportunity to meet your neighbors and make a connection. So that's something our society's missing right now. What's up?
Wife and I both received a letter from the county saying that we were nominated for precinct committee person. We had never put any other paperwork.
Yeah, you did.
She did it for you.
Oh,
That was
Vern,
that we need to get.
so right now you're appointed. Vern submitted the document to have you appointed as PCs. And she says that your wife knew about this.
Well, when we get the letter from the county, it reads different than the way we're explaining it. So when you get the letter from Maricopa County, their verbiage isn't as clear as what we're saying. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
A
we
lot of legalese.
couldn't have done it without your voter ID. If you want to become an elected PC, it's ideal. You don't have to, you can still do it. In fact, there's a write-in process. If your precinct is under quota, there's a write-in process where you can be elected even without the signatures too. So we can discuss that, but ideally everyone's out introducing themselves to their neighbors because that's really what a PC should be doing. Yes.
Oh, can you explain how we're gonna know which one of our neighbors are Democrat?
We can provide that list for you. All you have to do is ask. Yes. with a little map and phone numbers and their age. In fact, I saw mine today and it says that I'm a year older than I am, and that's BS.
The system rounds up.
I figure. All right. So again, we do have those petitions here. If anyone wants to do that process, get it started. There's no reason not to start now. We can turn the petitions in, I think in March. They're due by April. That's right. Shirts are available. Unfortunately, we're out of XL. We're out of large, extra large, and double extra large. So we have small, extra small, and I think we have a few mediums left. Those are free with a $20 donation.
The donation and their size, we'll let you know when they come in.
All right.
Pastor, can I mention something real quick?
Yes, of course.
I'd like to bring a bit of good news, and Emily, you have an amazing person in Maricopa County that does this.
Yes.
She said to me, she said, oh, LD 11, our most improved district for turnout versus Republicans. A blue district that was losing ground to Republicans in 2022 and gained it back in 2024.
Nice.
Congratulations.
I don't get credit for that. Oh my goodness.
You're the chair. You're supposed to take credit for everything.
I'll take credit. I'll take credit for that. Patrick was our chair at the time. So, Lupe, right? And Keisha's also here, so we'll hear from you, but
How much time do I have?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I'll start asking for.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lupe Conchas. I have the honor of serving the people of the Alhambra Elementary School District as their vice president of the governing board. I'm also proud to serve the people of the Cactus District in the city of Glendale as their councilman. And I have been the only member on the Glendale City Council to vote no on the trash rate increase, the solid waste increase, the landfill increase, the water rate increase, et cetera, et cetera. But what I cannot vote on or have any control on is their electricity bills. And so I have been recruited and I said yes to running for SRP's District 4 in order to take out Mr. Leslie Williams because the rates are too damn high. And I commit to all of you in LD11 that I will vote no on any rate increase that comes to my desk. So please support me in my campaign. This is a new opportunity for me to represent the working class and to also make sure that we have affordability for our working families. I know what it's like to only have $5 to my name and the embarrassment that I had when I had to go ask people in the grocery store for another 50 cents in order to pay for peanut butter and jelly, rice and beans, bread and milk. And I know that some of my constituents already in the city of Glendale are hurting. What had happened in the city of Glendale is that the water rate increase happened at the same time that SNAP benefits were being cut by the federal government in the beginning of November. And so I remember Sonia, she called me, said, Councilman, I don't know what I'm going to do. And what happens a lot, like my opponent, Mr. Leslie Williams, doesn't understand that $10 more a month or whatever the increase is, that impacts the bottom line for our seniors who are on fixed incomes. That impacts the bottom lines for working mothers and fathers who are trying to feed their kids. And that impacts the bottom line for people who just want to make sure that they can pay their rent. So how can you help me? If you are a homeowner, if you are a person who lives in District 4, which goes from 67th Avenue to 27th Avenue, from Glendale Avenue down to Broadway, and then south of I-10, it's on 51st Avenue. Please register for the SRP election as soon as possible. I have the QR codes available in the back. And then also, if you are a homeowner, please sign my petition to get on the ballot. And we need 25 signatures. And so hopefully we can get those today. And my name is Lupe Conchas. I'm your candidate for SRP's election. And the election is April 7th. This is going to be a hard election because I'm used to being able to go and knock on as many doors as possible and talk to people and register them and get them to support me. But this is all about acreage. So it goes by acreage. So that means Mr. Williams, who knows all the people in the agriculture, alfalfa, all these big farms, he can get his people to just submit their votes who have big acreage and basically defeat all of our small acreage votes. So we need as much support as possible. Thank you so much. My name's Lupe Conchas, your candidate for SRP.
You want to tell us about the map real quick at all? You want to tell us about District 4?
Yeah, so District 4, as you can see, Glendale Avenue, I live right here in this area. And then this goes down to approximately Broadway, as you can see, South Mountain. Here's the I-10, this is 51st Avenue, and then this is 67th Avenue. So anyone that lives in this area can vote for me. But if you are an SRP customer anywhere else, you can support Ken Clark in District 6. And I'm not sure who the other candidates are, but I think it's 4, 6, and 8 that we're focusing on in order to flip the majority. So when they told me, you know, if you run and if you win, we can make flip the SRP board, I said, put me in. What can I do? Let's continue to do this. And just to let you know, I'm going to be staying on the school board and the city council. This is just another opportunity, like all of the other boards that I'm a part of, to make sure that I'm representing the people and making sure that they know that they have an advocate at SRP. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Turning Point USA is focused on this race too, so that's why we are. Yeah, for Lupe? Okay. Carmen's got a question.
Because I don't think that it's right for it to be just homeowners. I think people that, you know, are renting that SRP should have a say also. I don't think that it's fair. That's kind of discriminatory in my opinion.
It is very discriminatory. It goes back to, you know, the original constitution when they say for everyone, it was just for white landowning males. And so the fact of the matter is that white landowning males are who run the SRP board right now. So they're not going to change the rules because it benefits them. And so if we flip the board, maybe, I'm not promising anything, we could look at the bylaws, we could look at the election, we could find out how to make it more inclusive. But until we get a majority of people who care, and a majority of people who want change, then we're not going to get there. So please help me get there so that we can start to work on that process. But until I get there, it's going to be the same status quo.
Yeah, we got to win before we can change the rules. So we got to play by their rules first. Okay, Councilwoman Keisha. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Ooh, see, can't have everything nice around here. My bad. Okay. Good evening, everyone. For those that don't know me, I am Keisha Hodge Washington. I represent District 8 on the Phoenix City Council. I actually, a week ago, was appointed by my colleagues as a vice mayor for the city of Phoenix, so I'm excited about that. Thank you. I will do a really quick rapid fire on some things I think you should be aware of. One of the things that you saw on the list was the light rail extension. That went to our subcommittee of Transportation, Infrastructure, and Planning subcommittee in December. I was an abstain vote, and I was an abstain vote not because I don't believe in public transportation, but because I felt like none of us on that subcommittee represent the districts that were going to be affected by light rail, and we should not we should not select the route. It should be selected by those that are most connected to the community and understand where the community wants this. So it will come to the full council at a policy meeting on January 27th, and that is a time to tell us where it is where you want it to go. There was also some back and forth with our friends at the legislature telling us, no, you're going to sue us if you do this route. But then the day of subcommittee, we got a letter saying, we're still going to sue you, but if you're going to do this, maybe look at this route. So hopefully by the time they come to us on the 27th, we have a little bit more clarity. But I wanted to make sure it's clear. I'm an advocate for public transportation. I believe in having those options, but I also believe that the individuals that represent that community should have a say in the route, not necessarily those that don't have the boots on the ground, because I wouldn't want somebody coming into my community and telling me where it should go in my district. So I wanted to give my colleagues that respect. Also on the 27th, we're going to be doing our quarterly updates for our police department policy process improvements. couple of years ago, I guess, like 2 years ago now, we have started talking about the improvements that we have been committed to making, and we're providing public updates. So there's a level of transparency and accountability. One of the things that I'm very proud of, one of the things that I worked on, and I've spoke many times with Jacob about this, but now when you call our 911, you can select behavioral health if that is what you need. Instead of just always police, fire, you can pick behavioral health, so that a behavioral health specialist can go out there to do that. So that's one of, you'll hear more about that on the 27th, because we're fully operational. That was one of the things we started off the year with. Also, I'm trying to go rapid fire. My list also included, not great news, but as a city, we are going to be coming out to the community to talk about solid waste rate increase. I have some concern about that, because that goes to the affordability of our city. It continues to increase time after time. But I also understand that we want to continue to keep our infrastructure working. So my goal for them has been, what can we do to continue to keep Phoenix affordable? Why do we have to continue to increase the rates? What can we do to go back? So I only say that so you can keep an eye out. We will start the community outreach on this in March and April. I need the community to show up and say yay, nay, maybe, in between, whatever it is your opinion is. We want to make sure that you're heard. Other thing, real quick, you'll be hearing a lot about the Colorado River if you have not already been hearing about it. I represent the city on AMWA. Colorado negotiations have pretty much stalled. As a result, the upper basins have taken the position that they do not need to make any cuts. All of the cuts should come from the lower basin states, even though the river itself is simply not producing enough water. So the deadline you probably will hear a lot is February 14, Valentine's Day, also the date that our state was incorporated. That's kind of the deadline we have to present, come up with a solution, or the federal government will be the one making the solution for us. And many of you, our preference, of course, is to be a little bit more in control of our destiny. But we are also, I know, in numerous fronts, advocating to our congressional partners and all of those to ensure that we do have some level of understanding as to what happens with the Colorado River. I know many people have a misconception that we are continuing to bring more people into our community and we're using more water. We have all of these things. I will say this, though, as a region, as a city, we also have been, we use less water now than we did 30 years ago, which seems counterproductive, but we have made really good strides on conservation. So we've been good stewards of the water. We just need to continue to have the assurance that the water will be there for us. Jumping around, again, this one was just more of an FYI. It's hopefully right now it's been settled. Well, not settled. Hopefully the court case holds. The federal administration has made some changes to what we call the NOFO, Notice of Funding Opportunities. That is what funds a significant portion of permanent supportive housing in our community. I also represent the city on the Maricopa County Continuum of Care Board. That is, housing is not just, we don't just provide shelter for those that are homeless. We want to provide permanent supportive housing, like it says. That's the type of housing that many people in our community needs. Federal government had made some changes, and that would jeopardize about $52 million, about 2,000 units, about almost 3,000 to 5,000 individuals that could be displaced if the federal government new changes hold. Right now, the court that we appealed it to said, no, this is not the right way. Used last year's NOFO. That would allow us to continue the funding of those projects that were in place, but no new projects. And we know we need new projects. So we are, it's a small win, but it's not quite the win we need. But it's a good step because it continues to allow us to continue those units. So just wanted to do those quick updates. I know it's a lot. And I don't know if there's any questions for me.
Any questions?
Yeah, I got one.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, how come the city of Phoenix stopped being involved with subsidized housing instead of it to the management companies? I think that it's not good for, out of state management companies come and do what they're doing. I just think that if these units were still done by the city and stuff like that, I think it would save like the city as well as save more money. I don't understand none of that. I don't think
So the city does control some of their own some of the units, the subsidized units. We do have what's called our public housing authority, which is our housing department. They oversee those. There are some units that we don't oversee. For example, if there's a larger apartment complex and as part of a development agreement or some other funding source where the city contributed money and we set aside a certain number of subsidized units in that building, we don't necessarily manage those units because that would be it would be cumbersome. But what we are trying to do is for those we have certain programs where the landlords participate, and as part of their participation in the city's program, they abide by specific rules. One of the rules, for example, that we are working on and get in place is, we know that eviction prevention is one of the key things when it comes to battling homelessness. Sometimes it could be someone has missed a few days at work, which caused them to be a little bit behind when when the first of the month comes around, but by the 14th, they are in a better position. So what we're doing is we're asking landlords that participate in programs with the city of Phoenix is that you provide that tenant with information about our legal assistance program, as well as we have funding available to help with those. And we have been actually reducing the number of individuals that are being evicted because of that. For the first time in a long time, we are actually seeing in some of the zip codes where we've seen high increase in evictions, we have been seeing declines in that. So we can't necessarily come in and take over an apartment from the owner. What we can do is ask that owner to be a better partner with us by providing certain incentives. For example, if a tenant applies for assistance from the city, we will contact the landlord and say this assistance is coming, and that will then tell the landlord not to evict that person. We will get the information. We will cut out from having the tenant to get the funds, have the funds clear, and then pay the landlord. We pay the landlord directly for them, which allows them to slave off eviction. So we are making some strides, definitely open to more conversations. We will actually be, as part of, I can't remember the exact date, but in February, when we do our policy, one of the things that we will be talking about is our updated strategies to addressing homelessness. And our focus is more going to be on the preventing eviction, because that we recognize the hardship that comes when an individual has an eviction on their record. So we're trying to eliminate that. So there's going to be a lot more conversation around that piece. So I definitely welcome anybody to come to those. Don't have to come, you can come see me, send us a note, send us an email. We try and keep track of those and incorporate those feedback.
I think that's BS in my opinion. I think it needs to be more time for people to go to get help, as well as for more city to step in and get involved, because a lot of these management companies, they are not giving to.
So you're preaching to the choir on this. A lot of this also is driven by the county, some of the rules, and also by the state statute. So I am going to be working with Supervisor Gallardo as well on the county side to see how it is that we can make the rules a little more tenant neutral, if that makes sense, because right now they are very landlord favored. Like that is how they write them. And we are trying to figure out like there's a couple of things. Like there's a bill that is being that's been presented. Many times people have told us, I've paid it off, but my landlord won't remove that judgment. There's a bill that's being run in that I'm working with to say that the notice of satisfaction comes at a certain point in time. And then if the landlord fails to do that, then that record is automatically sealed. And that is twofold, because if you're sealing the record, one, that person eviction is not discoverable by the next landlord. So they're not paying that markup for having that error in judgment. So there's a couple of things. I'm not saying it's going to come overnight, but I do believe that it is truly an area where we are aligned, and from the state perspective, from the county perspective, and from the city perspective, that something has to change, because we are seeing increased numbers, and it's not like it's throughout our city. We did when we did our update on our legal eviction assistance program, we actually showed a map of where the evictions were coming from. And historically, the highest areas with eviction were in the lower economic areas. We are seeing that it is spread throughout the entire city. It is a citywide issue. It is a region-wide issue. And it is because of that, I believe it's getting more attention. I know I've taken up more than my 2 minutes, but thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Yeah, living in this area downtown, I can always tell the new homeless because they're still lugging their luggage around, and it's heartbreaking to see any of them. But those people who you know are just scared and freshly unhoused, it's sad. But I believe that is everything for tonight. Do any of my board members have anything to add?
Do you have anybody else that's free to speak? Who came in?
Yeah, new business. Let's open it for new business. I know Michael Butts is here.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all have? I'm the 11. How y'all doing? Most of you know I'm second vice chair, former second vice chair of LD11 for 2023, 2024, under the chairmanship of Patrick Brown. And I just wanted to pop in. I am a Roosevelt School Board member. Just two quick things. We have an MLK event coming up on Saturday, the 17th from 9:30 to 1. It is at Martin Luther King Elementary School. So, yes, 9:30 to 1 p.m. Martin Luther King Junior Elementary School. Second thing is the superintendent and the board sent out a communication for all of the residents of Roosevelt School District to let them know that there's a rumor circulating that we are allowing our vacant buildings to be used as training facilities for ICE, and that is incorrect. We are allowing those facilities to be used by Phoenix PD and other law enforcement organizations and agencies that are partnering with Phoenix PD. So we're not allowing ICE to conduct any training on Roosevelt's district vacant buildings and properties, just to be clear, okay? And then most of you know I'm running for superintendent of public instruction. We're collecting signatures and $5 donations. You can support multiple candidates because I'm the only one that's running as a clean elections candidate. So you can donate $5 on my website. And that's all I have for you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, a little teaser next month. Who's going to be our guest, Fern? Adrian Fontes will be here. So he's very fun to listen to. Yes, of course. Please. Fern doesn't like public speaking, so I didn't ask.
What we would really like is everybody who's running or any Democratic group join us because we're all Democrats. So we'll just have a float that says LD11 and we'll just have everybody on it. And you guys join us, we'll just be bigger. You join us. You join us. You join us.
Yes, she is there.
I'm practicing my parade.
Our float is gonna be kind of in the beginning.
But so I have to just, but I would like to say is that the person who started the entire parade's right there. One of two. So anyhow, still thank you for that. I don't know how many of you guys check Mobilize. I am not good at it at all. But, so today I got in there and started looking, and there's a request to speak virtual class. They have them almost every day. I signed up for Mondays, and it's a 2-hour class. You can advocate from your couch. All you do is they will sign you up for it. You get in there, that you learn what the bills are all about, and just from home, you click on how you want to vote, and you send the message, and Senator Randall knows how her constituents feel, and she can say, 90% of my people want this, and I've got it right here. So check out Mobilize, check out it's civic engagement beyond voting is what it is. And if you're interested, they have volunteered to come here. Also, we are paying for this room, and this is like the perfect spot. It's right in the middle of everything.
11 is this beautiful little Eden. And so we are having a 50-50 raffle so that we can continue to enjoy this facility. So
Yep.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We will, oh, we have one. Who else? Is there one more? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, Nancy.
So currently stated as of December 31st, our fee of $5,992.40. Last, we raised $1,596.50. Most of them came from our actual donation, which was $1,296.50. And then we also had a $300 check donation from Senator Moreno. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm hoping to ask you right now, so I can give you how much came from our holiday party and how much came from our recurring donor. So from our holiday party, we raised $1,000, $110, and $186.50 came from our recurring donor. So we also have a link if you guys want to be a recurring donor. And most of our donations for the holiday party was from our first-time donors. We also want to thank the Representative Miguel Cabrera and Oscar Del Santos for donating $100, and also Representative Jasmine Ansari for another $100. And thank you everybody who came to the holiday party and made the festival of contributing however amount you did. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tadia. And you, sir?
So, hi, everybody. I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. My name is Michael Abramson III, and the reason I'm introducing myself is I'm looking to bring a combination of both my social work skills and my policy and advocacy skills to Tempe Elementary Governing Board in this upcoming election as well. So just to talk a little bit about my background, my early professional career right after college, I started off as a social worker. I was getting my MSW, and I worked at UMOM Day Center, where I had the fortunate opportunity to work with families, getting them out of the shelter, getting them into apartments, and working with them to get out of housing subsidized, and being able to work towards getting them into a really stable position. Unfortunately, as I'm sure a lot of my social workers in the room are familiar with, putting a Band-Aid over a situation or an issue like that isn't really the long-term solution that we need as well. And working with those families, seeing what those kids needed at that time in those early formative years, really pushed me toward a more policy route with my master's in social work. So since then, I've spent the better part of this past decade working for a handful of different advocacy organizations that started off doing behavioral health advocacy down in our state legislature. I was fortunate to pivot towards the Women's Foundation for the state of Arizona, where I was fortunate to advocate for policies related to childcare, parental health services, and training leave and resources as well. And I'm fortunate now to be in a position where I work for the Arizona Alliance for Community Health Centers as the Director of Legislative Affairs, advocating for affordable health care for everybody as well. So that is the skill set that I would really love to bring to the Tempe Elementary Governing Board. We've seen the situation that a lot of our school boards are in. Tempe Elementary is unfortunately no different, and they were in a position this past week where they had to meet $7 million in budget cuts, and those $7 million in budget cuts represented 71 different positions within that school board as well. So what I would love to see out of all of our school boards is somebody who's really willing to be a steward and an advocate at every level, making sure that folks know how important and how successful our public schools are at the state legislature, in our communities, and really having a strong presence. And I would like to be that change with the Tempe Elementary Governing Board as well. So I do have a petition here. I believe it is a smaller portion of L11 that is Tempe Elementary Governing Board. If you are north of Guadalupe and east of 40th Street, you may be in Tempe Elementary as well. I'm so happy to pass out my card.
Thank you, Michael. All right. Sure.
Anybody with a green card, we give free citizenship classes. We help over 800 people become U.S. citizens, and our only pay is they register to vote. So
Nice.
I have flyers if you need them.
Awesome. Okay. Let's go ahead and close the meeting, then we'll do the raffle, and then we'll do the PC petitions. Do I have a motion to close?
Motion. Second.
All right, all who, any opposed? No? All who say aye?
Aye.
Meeting closed. Thank you, everybody.
I'll do the fun part really fast before everybody. So.
That's for eyes first.